In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Today, we're joined by two of the biggest names in modern thrillers. New York Times bestselling author Simon Gervais and the Real Book Spy founder Ryan Steck to talk about their explosive new collaboration, The Second Son. This high-octane, deeply emotional espionage thriller introduces Chase Burke, a soldier-turned-wine steward whose search for redemption drags him into a global conspiracy that hits painfully close to home. After his intelligence analyst brother is killed and branded a traitor, and a brutal ambush leaves the congresswoman he's secretly in love with fighting for her life, Chase is forced back into the violent world he thought he'd escaped. Teaming up with NYPD detective Alice Doyle, he uncovers a far-reaching criminal syndicate where every ally is a suspect and every choice carries a cost. Ryan Steck and Simon Gervais, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, thanks, Terry. So nice to be here. And my name was pronounced perfectly. I'm loving it.
No, you did great. I keep telling everyone I'm going to change my name. I'm going to start going with something that sounds way better than just Ryan. But thank you, man, for having us.
It is said that writing is one of the loneliest professions when you're doing it alone. How is it different when you're collaborating?
Yeah, man, it's better. Yeah, honestly, I don't think it would be better for everyone. If you bring any sort of ego or I'm not willing to shoulder 50% of this, it's going to be bad. But I think the reason this really works so well for me and Simon is that we just leave ego at the door. We have one singular goal, and that is to entertain readers and keep them up past their bedtime. We want to thrill you, and we want to twist, turn, and we understand that people are spending not just money on your product, but you could always make more money. You can't make more time. So when someone's going to sit and just really give 5 to 8 hours to read a book, I want the return on the investment to that to be something that you walk away from. Man, I'm so glad I read that. I hope there's another one coming. And because we share that same goal, this whole process has been very easy. It is lonely. A lot of times you write something, it's good, but it's good because no one knows how you're going to get your character out of this situation, right? So you write something and everyone's like, wow, it's great. I can't wait to see how you get them out of that. And then you're like, me too. I really hope I figure that out. And when there's two of you, it's so much better because you hop on a call, we get on Zoom calls or FaceTime, whatever, and it's, hey, here's a good idea. But what's special, I think, about our working relationship with this is that I'll be the first to admit, if I come in with an idea and I'm like, this is a 10 out of 10, and then Simon's like, yeah, but what about this? I'll be the first one to go, no, that's better. Let's do that. Let's do that for sure. And he'll do the same thing right back for me. And I think there has to be trust. There's been things that it just happened in the first book. There was some stuff I wanted to do, and I'm bad at pitching it. And I think I don't know if that works. And Simon is the one that's just write it and let's see. And I can tell you with the second one that will come out next year, there was a pretty quick call where he pitched me something. I'm like, yeah, just write it. Just go do it. And I can't wait to see it. And that's really, truly how it's worked from day one.
Simon, what happens when you disagree on an idea?
We rarely disagree. What we do, though, is challenge each other. We try to, let's say I don't agree 100% with him or vice versa. We're going to challenge each other. We're going to try to make our point so the other understand what we're trying to say. But I think that Ryan and I are very quick to realize who has the best idea. And just like he said, we're a business. We're in business together. Our objective is the same. And when two colleagues share the same objective, then it's very easy to align yourself in a direction and just go for it. And this is what we've done with The Second Son. And this is what we've done with The Mark Son that's going to come out next year. So to answer your question, is it easy? God, I agree with what he said. I think it could be very complicated if you do it with somebody you don't get along with. It could be a nightmare. And I've known a few people that tried and it didn't work out. And it's not because they're not good. Two of them were very successful. It's just that the chemistry wasn't there.
You have to have the same vibe, shared goal. You really do. And understand everybody's role ahead of time. For Simon and me, it was, let's both touch every page. Let's make sure this doesn't sound like a Ryan Steck thriller or a Simon Gervais thriller. Let's make sure this sounds like something we did together that takes on its own voice, its own persona. And I'm really proud of that, man. Like, it's so fun, Terry. We joke about this all the time. I can't remember who came up with certain things or who wrote what. Like, we'll literally go over stuff. There's things I would like to think I wrote it for sure, because I read, I'm like, that was pretty good. I hope I wrote that. And I really couldn't tell you for sure. I honestly couldn't. And to give you a snapshot, I pitched him something with book 2. I had 2 ideas. And I led with the first one. We talked about it. And then he came back to me and he's like, I have a different idea. And he pitched me something that was literally like my backup idea. So there was just no issue. It was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's go. And I think we're always surprised truly how easy it is, because I think he thought he was going to have to like sell me on that. I really thought I was going to need to sell him on things. And it's not that way. We recognize pretty quickly, hey, what's going to be best for our product and for our consumers and our readers. And let's just go with that one. Doesn't matter who came up with it.
We're talking with Simon Gervais, known for his Pierce Hunt, Clayton White, and Caspian Anderson series, and Ryan Steck, the co-founder of The Real Book Spy, about their first collaboration, The Second Son. Ryan, you are so good at getting your guests to answer the question, why should we care about the story? What makes The Second Son magic?
Oh, man, you've not read a book like this. And I can say that pretty confidently because I've covered thousands of them. There's not one like this out there. Big action like you would expect from Simon or from some of my books. A lot of character development like you would normally see in one of my series. But the twists and the turns are unlike anything I've done, anything he's done. And I know that because I've covered every single one of his books from his very first one for over a decade. Simon and I go way back. And although I got to tell you, I didn't know this till he said in an interview, we've never met in person. So this is proof that like friendships come a long ways thanks to the internet, business relationships and all that. We need to get together, but truly I've covered him and been a fan of Simon's from day one, his very first book. And I've seen him grow as a writer, and I've covered the genre for over a decade. I think I've always wanted to do something Harlan Coben-like. How do you do a twist that no one's would never see coming? You always write like, I'm a critic, man, so I've written thousands of book reviews, and every once in a while you're like this jaw-dropping twist. I really wanted to do that once in my life. Like, I wanted to write something that people would go, oh my gosh, no way. And I didn't see that coming, and it's the only thing that makes sense. Those are the best twists, not the ones that subvert expectations and come out of left field, but the best twists are the ones that you never saw it, but once you do see it, it's the only thing that makes sense. And Harlan Coben does that beautifully. And I love big action, but if you put the two together, what do you get? And I've never really known the answer to that. And now I can tell you pretty confidently, you get The Second Son.
Simon, you've lived some of this, and the nature of our work when we're putting these stories together is we have to stretch some stuff and truncate other things. How did you find that great balance in this book with your writing?
It's a good question. You know, I've been at it for over a decade now. I'm working on number 17. So this was, I think, number 15 at the time. I know what works and what doesn't work. When I look back, I used to read pretty much all the reviews that I got on Amazon. I don't have the time to do that anymore, but I have tens and tens of thousands of reviews on my stuff. So I know what people like and what people don't like. You can stretch the reality a little bit, but you need to stay focused that not everybody will be able to accept too much of a leap of faith. So when it comes to action scene for me, it's really about doing it through multiple perspective. This is what I like to do, and this is what we've done with this book as well. But what I wanted to do as well, compared to all my other thrillers that are more, I would say, spy, military, I wanted to join my style with Ryan and do a mix of that together. I didn't want to have an ex-Special Force soldier or something. I didn't want a superhero. I wanted a regular army guy that served a little bit, that knew how to handle weapon, but he's not like a James Reese or Cord Gentry type of thing. He's his own guy. And I wanted to add another perspective, because when I was writing, I always say but when we were writing like The Second Son, because really Ryan and I were 50-50 on that all the time. When we were working on it, my wife and I were doing our sommelier level 2 course through the WSF. That's why I wanted him to do something else than just being a former soldier. So I say, I don't remember anyone writing a thriller about a sommelier. And I think that would be a great sell. I love wine. This is something that I'm passionate about, and I wanted to introduce that in the book. And Ryan said, yeah, absolutely, let go. And one of the things about Ryan also is that he always sells himself short about the wine stuff. But the truth is, he wrote a few scenes about the wine, and I was very impressed. He really understand what I was trying to say. So kudos to you, Ryan, because you did do justice to a sommelier.
Well, thanks, man. And we do a lot of interviews, Terry, where people are like, what do you guys each bring to the book? And I'm like, well, the fancy lifestyle, fun travel, and wine expert stuff is definitely from me. And no one believes that, so I know that. But you would think I'd know more. Truthfully, I'm a recovering alcoholic, 16 years sober, but I never drank wine a day in my life. So I couldn't even help there. I would literally write stuff and just put like in brackets, Simon, put a fancy wine in here, things like that. Then I started doing research to understand our character. And I think that, look, when we're talking, that's what makes it fun. It's our character. It's who do we want him to be. But at the same time, we always both had this very clear vision of who Chase Burke is. And Simon's right. He's not like the baddest dude who's ever lived. His greatest strength is probably that he's really stubborn. He just refuses to quit. And is in pursuit of truth in this book for a lot of reasons. But yeah, he's not really special at anything. His big brother, Michael, was a golden boy. He's lived in his shadow forever. That's why the title is really just the second son. That's how he's been seen, even in his own family. So he's not particularly like terrific at anything other than maybe failing compared to his brother. But he's got street smarts. And this I'm not going to quit attitude. And that is what carries him through this. But I would just add to everything Simon said, we didn't want the super soldier because we want to show perhaps maybe what it looks like when the ordinary guy slowly becomes the hero.
That is such a smart call for the audience, too, because you've created in Chase a guy that we can all identify with. And that is a huge, unique selling proposition. Ryan Steck's website is therealbookspy.com. You can find more about Simon Gervais at Simon Gervais, Gervais books.com. They're talking with us about their collab, The Second Son. Another character I liked a lot, Simon, was Alice Doyle. How did she come to be?
I think we needed a strong female protagonist as well, but we didn't want the reader to know really, I'm saying protagonist, but really, she could be an antagonist as well at the beginning. She is stubborn, just like he is, but we wanted somebody that was loyal, that was hard at work, somebody that has a complicated past as well, because she had a terrible first marriage. She has a 8-year-old daughter named Ava, and her job as a cop takes 70 hours a week for her, and she really doesn't know yet how to balance her family life and her job. And I thought that was something that I wanted to explore a little bit more, because this struggle is a struggle that many of my former colleagues in the police force had issues with. Balancing life-work balance as a police officer is extremely difficult. And because when you come back from work, sometimes you cannot really talk about what you've done all day, or not because it's top secret, it's because sometimes it's totally gruesome. So I wanted her to struggle with this, and I thought it brings another perspective to the book than just have a former soldier that works as a sommelier now.
Ryan, which is easier, critiquing other people's writing or creating your own?
Oh my gosh. So talking about other people's books is so much easier, man. It is. I didn't know that until my very first book came out. And I found out what it's like to be vulnerable when you put your work out there. And that sucks at first. You get used to it, and hopefully you'll get some good feedback. But for me, particularly, having been a book spy for over a decade, you have to go out and get blurbs, like endorsements. And there wasn't one person that I think was honest about it with me. Everyone messed with me. Everyone wanted to like tease me. I would literally get, like, there was one guy, he gave me a blurb, but the first thing I got was like an email, and it was like, hey buddy, good job. And then the blurb was like, a pretty decent mid-tier book, mediocre at best, get from the library, not the bookstore. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this sucks. And then I got like a second email like 30 seconds later that was like, LOL, I'm just kidding. I had to do that because you've critiqued all my books for X amount of years. Here's the real one. And I'm super proud of you. Good job, Ryan. But man, the panic and fear that goes through your body. Now I kind of laugh. I don't read every review, but I'll see some bad ones. And like, I know for a fact with The Second Son, there was a not good review that they're not a fan of my stuff at all. They love Simon, and they were like, Simon tried to carry it, but some of the stuff Ryan wrote, and I'm like, I know for sure they have no idea what part I wrote and what part Simon wrote. And that's so hilarious to me. So bad reviews don't even bug me anymore. Most of them are like, they're not even correct. You know what I mean? You get like a bad review, and it's, I took over the Ted Bell Alex Hawk series for the late Ted Bell, friend and mentor to me, and writing his stuff. But our first bad reviews were things that were like, I can't believe Ryan would add this character or do this or that. And I'm like, I didn't do that. Ted did that. Like, so they were like, he has no idea what he's doing. Ted would never. And it was like, nope, Ted did that for sure. So I think that there's just a lot of people online that love to like express negativity. And it's just that troll-like attitude in today's world. A lot of keyboard warriors. And so I honestly laugh about most of them and then really appreciate the good ones. And the people that take time to send an email, especially, man, we love every reader that takes time to write a review. But this is the first time really 2025 in my writing career where I get emails almost daily from people that are reading my stuff to reach out. And that means like the world to me. But it's still difficult when I have to send my book out for endorsements and be on the other side of that. It's so much easier to just be the critic and weigh in, for sure.
Simon, in your world, what kind of feedback is helpful to you?
I think it's not a specific feedback. It's a bunch of them in a way that, let's say, once the book reached 3,000 reviews, and I'm going to read the two. I usually don't read the first star because it's people that usually don't care. They just want to hurt you, because I don't think any book really deserves 1 star. But there's some valid critiques sometimes with the 2-3 star. And if I see that there's 10 or 15 people that wrote the same thing, I'm going to ask myself questions. Could I have done this better? And then I'm going to do the same thing for the 4 and 5 star review. I'm going to read them and say, all right, people seems to like when I do this and when I do that, so I'm going to give them more than this. Because Brian said at the beginning, our client, we work for the readers. So we want to make sure that we give them what they want. Yeah, I think that's it. There's not a specific comment that's going to make me change the direction I'm going. But if I notice there's a big trend about me, let's say, using too many curse words, for example, right? I'm using too much C and F word. It's a valid complaint. I don't want to shut down 10% of my audience because I'm using too many swear words. I think there's an amount. I want to keep my dialogue realistic. And when you're deep in shit, you're going to swear. This is important. But at the same time, you don't want to overuse it because you lose the power of the word if you use it too often. So this is the kind of critique I take in, and I realize that I can get better sometime at different things when there's many people saying it.
Our guests are Simon Gervais and Ryan Steck. Their first collaboration is The Second Son, and I think I heard that there is a second book in the pipeline. Where do you hope to take the series?
We got some big plans. I think everyone who reads The Second Son, it's a fully contained story. You have a beginning, you have a middle, you have an end, and I want to be very clear about that. However, when you get to that end, I'm going to guess it's not the ending that you're probably expecting. And I hope and believe most readers are going to get to the finish line on The Second Son and go, when does the next one come out? Because I have questions and they're going to want answers to them. And so The Marked Son is book number 2. It continues this trajectory that Chase is on. Again, really just exploring, like, what does it look like to become the hero? He's not the perfect hero yet. He's really not. And he's still chasing truth. And trust me, by the time you get to the end of The Second Son, you're going to realize, like, truth is relative and truth bends. And you might not even like the truth when you find it. It's going to test him in new ways. It's going to continue. Everything we see in book 1 continues. But I would say there's some even bigger shocks and surprises in store for the next one. And then we'll see where things go from there.
Simon, what do you hope people will take away from their encounter with The Second Son?
I just want to entertain my readers. This is something I say sometimes. I will never go on an Oprah Winfrey show because my book, they don't change life. You won't feel so much better after that. You say, oh my God, I read a Simon Gervais book. My life changed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start working out, whatever. I'm going to eat better. No, this is not what I'm doing. My objective is to give you 5 to 8 hours of pure entertainment. And if I can do that, then I've done my job. So this is what I'm hoping with the second son. I just hope that if people pick up the book, they're going to read it, they're going to enjoy it, and I'm going to give them a few hours off from the work, from family they need, whatever they need a break from. Everybody's different. Then I want the second son to offer them that, I don't know, that freedom of mind for a few hours.
I would only add that if you get this to Oprah, I am available in a heartbeat. This has been fun, Terry. Thank you.
The book is The Second Son, written by two of the best in the business, Ryan Steck and Simon Gervais. You can learn more about Simon at SimonGervais books, SimonGervaisBooks.com, and Ryan's website is TheRealBookSpy.com. Gentlemen, thanks so much for the conversation.
Thanks to you, Terry. It was great to be here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.